It's crazy to think how much of an impact the Wii had on gaming. When this thing launched back in 2006, it showcased such a simple way of playing games that everyone was drawn to it. From the loyal Nintendo fans waiting for that next Zelda game, to old folks in retirement homes getting their Wii Sports bowling on. Because of the impact the Wii had with people, the gaming market started to notice and tried to adapt. So with Nintendo starting this new gaming trend with the Wii, eventually Microsoft and Sony followed along with their own motion controller projects a few years later. And these are the two devices that came out. The PlayStation Move and Xbox's Kinect. These two both came out 10 years ago, and both had a hand at shaping the Xbox and PlayStation brand into what they are today. You guys know I have stories for these sorts of things, and these two peripherals are no different. So without further ado, let's take a trip back to the past. The first time I saw the PlayStation Move was when the engineering prototype was shown off at E3 2009 during Sony's press conference. At the time, I was really into getting peripherals for the consoles I owned, including the PlayStation 3, so I was instantly intrigued with the Move. I ended up pre-ordering two controllers, a navigation controller, which was basically Sony's nunchuck controller, and a few games. On September 17th, 2010, I picked up my Move controller at my local GameStop. Fun fact, my sister's future boyfriend was working there at the time and processed my order. Thanks, Henry. You're the best. So, to commemorate 10 years of PlayStation Move, I decided to go back and play a handful of games that utilize the Move and give some updated thoughts on how they hold up today. So let's start this party off with, well, Start the Party. Start the Party is a party game that is still super fun to play. It's probably one of my favorite Move games for a ton of reasons. It's so fast-paced that you never feel like the rounds of the game drag on. The AR effects on the controller are awesome and make you want to wiggle them around. And it's also a perfect summation of what the Move is capable of. My wife and I loved playing it when we were younger, and as it turns out, we still do now. Sports Champions is okay. I feel like it was the Move's obligatory Wii Sports-esque game that they had to release at launch. Granted, it does have a bit more depth and a lot more game options than Wii Sports. It basically got the job done and showcased some of the stuff that could be focused on for future games that utilize the Move. Looking back, I don't regret buying it or anything, and even now it still plays well. Though I probably wouldn't buy something like this at launch nowadays. Heavy Rain was a game that had Move controls added post-release. Originally, it was a regular PS3 game that used the DualShock 3 or 6-axis, until the game was updated to support PlayStation Move. It actually works pretty well with Move controls, as if it was a Move game to begin with. The first time I played through the game, I only had one problem with the controls near the end portions, but that could have been my gaming setup at the time. It was a lot of fun replaying Heavy Rain with the Move, and I really still believe that this version of the game showcases that the Move could be used with games that tell big stories, and not just simple fun games like Start the Party and Sports Champions. I feel like PlayStation Move started out really small. It was this Wii-like alternative for the PlayStation 3 that I feel never really gained a lot of traction. Sony did make the Move forwards compatible though, and it's now capable of being used on PlayStation 4 in connection with PlayStation VR, which I feel had breathed in new life in ways it never had before, and honestly feels like the reason the Move was created to begin with. Well, I've said my piece on PlayStation Move, so for now, let's move on to Xbox Kinect. Kinect was revealed as Project Natal way back in E3 2009. Microsoft was really hyping Kinect up as a huge extension for the Xbox 360 that would help prolong the system's longevity. I was pretty much sold when they showed their Kinect Star Wars demo video and planned to buy a Kinect at launch. I ended up pre-ordering at my local GameStop, which, unlike the PlayStation Move, had decided to have a midnight launch. To which no one really showed up. I'm pretty sure I was the only one there, but I was happy and went home with my brand new Kinect. Now, Microsoft had made it clear that you would need at least 6 feet of space to play most Kinect games. 8 feet were needed for others. And my bedroom at the time didn't really have that much space available to play in front of the TV. So, I ended up having to stand up on top of my giant bed that took up most of the space in my room and play. Later on, I found out that if I tilted my TV to the side, I could sorta play if I stood in front of my bookshelf. It was a really weird experience, but I was desperate to get my Kinect on. Like with the Move, I singled out 3 games that I felt really brought the most out of Kinect, and decided to replay them 10 years later to see how they hold up. So let's check them out. First on deck was a game that actually came bundled with the Kinect, Kinect Adventures. This game actually holds up really well. I wasn't really able to play this game back in the day because of how small my room was, so this was really my first time truly playing it the way it was intended. I actually ended up working up a sweat while playing because of all the movements you have to make. You seriously use your entire body here. It's not like the Wii where you could fake it by shaking the controller or something. On a side note, my 3 going on 4-year-old really enjoyed playing this with me. He and I had smiles on our faces the whole time. Next up is Kinect Star Wars, the game that convinced me to get a Kinect, and boy is this bad. Not holding a lightsaber makes things so awkward in the main story mission, and the graphics are so distractingly low quality. I wasn't really impressed with the main mode, but I do remember enjoying the pod racing, but hating the dancing modes back in the day. It's a shame this blows, because it could have been a Kinect classic. But hindsight is 2020. The last game I'm going to cover is the Gunstringer, which holds up so damn well. The game controls so good, and I never had any glitches or hiccups while playing. It's an excellent use of Kinect, and would really lose a lot of its charm if it was playing on a traditional controller. The Gunstringer is also really funny, and I very much enjoy the comical story of revenge as we follow our main lead. I think I can go on the record and declare this is my favorite Kinect game. It's so fun, and really holds up today. As the Kinect moved on throughout the years, it eventually evolved into a new Kinect for Xbox One, and then sort of fizzled out. I don't think people were savvy with spending an extra $100 on the Xbox One just for the Kinect, and eventually Microsoft dropped it as a mandatory purchase and sold it separately. Slowly, it lost support from developers, and, well, the Kinect died out of support for Xbox platforms. As we come to a conclusion on our 10-year celebration for these 2 add-ons, I just wanted to add on an idea of how much fun I had at the time playing with these 2 things. Add-ons are a weird thing. Sometimes they work, and sometimes we look back at them as a weird oddity. With Kinect and Move, I felt they experienced both of those feelings at one point or another. Either way, I'll always have the memories of getting to experience gaming in a different way with Kinect and Move. And that will always be the most important thing to me. So anyway, guys, as always, Retrospectives-Be-Damned, I'm telling my story.